This is purely a journalistic point of view. Nothing more has been said in this video other than that of which has been reported by various media sources and backed up with sources seen at the end of this video.
In 1996, Tammy Sytch was at the top of her career, working in the WWF as the super hot vixen, Sunny. That year, Sytch was the most downloaded woman on America Online. Pro Wrestling Illustrated's Manager of the Year, she sold a record-breaking number of issues of Raw magazine thanks to her appearance in a bikini, and she was a popular on-screen character. By 1998, Sytch would be gone from the WWF as her life spiraled out of control. Join us now as Behind the Titantron examines the rise and fall of Tammy Sytch. New Jersey native Tamara Lynn Sytch was born on the 7th of December 1972, and according to her autobiography, she was supposed to be named Jennifer Lynn. However, her father was drunk and burst into the hospital, naming her Tamara, supposedly the name of the bottle of vodka he was drinking. Of course, the name Sunny would be the one she became best known by around the world, both for her exploits in wrestling and her tumultuous life outside the ring. A lifelong wrestling fan, Sytch attended WWF events on a regular basis, collecting autographs from superstars when they came to town. Sytch excelled in school, earning straight A's and staying active in activities such as student council, ski club, and of course, cheerleading. At age 17, she attended an indie show and met a man she fell in love with at first sight, Chris Candido. The two soon became a couple, and their careers would be intertwined over the next decade. Sytch joined Candido on the road, taking pictures of wrestlers and selling them to Bill Apter. By Sytch's own account, she was lucky to break even, but she enjoyed being around Candido and taking pictures. She'd turned down a scholarship to college so she could join him on the road. Candido was working for an independent promotion when he asked Sytch to accompany him to his match as a valet. The promoter refused to pay her, but Sytch didn't care, accompanying Candido and paying $200 for her outfit. Even though most of the territories were gone, a handle such as Memphis's USWA still existed, and Candido found work there. She joined him, enrolling in college and working alongside him. Chris Candido was working for Jim Cornette's Smoky Mountain Wrestling promotion when Cornette approached her about playing a stuck-up character who'd attended a private school, supported Hillary Clinton, and demanded Smoky Mountain follow her feminist agenda. Sytch agreed and entered the territory as Tammy Fitch. Fitch soon got over. The World Wrestling Federation had a cordial relationship with Smoky Mountain, and Fitch caught someone's attention. The WWF's Bruce Pritchard called Sytch and invited her to audition for a role in the company. She went, ironically on her 21st birthday, but according to her, she botched the audition and flew back home to Candido, heartbroken. Despite Sytch's concerns, the WWF invited her to join the company, doing interview segments as Tamara Murphy. She agreed and did the segments until Candido was hired and the WWF decided to pair them as a babyface duo known as Team Spirit. They were dismayed as they felt that they were better off as heels. Vince McMahon insisted they play faces, but their work in Smoky Mountain would come back to help them. During their run in Smoky Mountain, Candido and Sytch had participated in an angle where they kayfabe killed a cat of babyface Boo Bradley, who would become better known as Balls Mahoney. When they appeared as Team Spirit, the fans remembered them from the cat-killing incident and booed them heavily. When McMahon witnessed the crowd's reaction, he reconsidered and transferred them into Skip and Sunny, a fitness guru based on Tony Little and his sexy sidekick. With Sunny insulting the fans and Skip beating up lower card babyfaces, the two got over quickly. Eventually, the WWF paired Tom Pritchard with Skip, forming the tag team the Body Donners. With Sunny guiding them, Skip and Zip cheated their way to the WWF Tag Team Championship. And while the Body Donners were heels, the fans couldn't help but admire the lovely Sunny. Sunny's positive feedback from the fans led to Vince McMahon pushing her in media. She appeared in a bikini shoot for Raw magazine, resulting in the magazine's best-selling issue ever. Before long, Sytch was making twice her salary from merchandise sales as she became a sex symbol, not only in the WWF, but around the world. 1996 saw Sytch voted as Pro Wrestling Illustrated's Manager of the Year and America Online's Most Downloaded Celebrity. Her fame had grown to the point where Playboy readers reportedly flooded the men's magazine with requests that Sunny appear in the nude. Playboy reached out to the WWF, and Vince McMahon informed Sytch of their offer. She could appear nude or semi-nude if she wished. However, while Sunny was appreciated in the mainstream publicity, she declined, stating Vince McMahon supported her decision. In a recent interview, she commented on her chance to pose for Playboy. "See, when it was offered to me, I was 23. I was very shy at the time. You wouldn't know from it, like bikini photos and lingerie layouts and stuff like that." Sunny reflected, "As far as the Playboy thing, yeah, I was too young. Believe it or not, I was too shy. I was a little bit too timid to do that, and it just wasn't something I was ready to do. When Vince told me about it, he brought me in for a meeting about it, into the office, and it took me a whole 5 minutes to say, no, I cannot do this. Like, I didn't even go home and think about it." Nonetheless, 1996 was looking good for Sunny, but there were storm clouds on the horizon. Traveling with Chris Candido put a strain on her relationship. According to Sytch, the two took time off, and during this time, Sytch began dating Shawn Michaels, whom she had a crush on since the age of 13. The crush soon turned into a torrid romance, according to Sytch, with the two even considering moving in together at a home Michaels was having built. During this time, Sytch claimed she had began drinking. It was the first step towards an addiction which would nearly kill her and plague her for the next 20 years. In her autobiography, Sytch discusses taking somas recreationally, but avoiding the drug scene for the most part. That didn't stop her from scoring drugs for her colleagues. She recalls traveling to Mexico and obtaining insane amounts of drugs. Sytch worked on camera hosting WWF TV, but began to feel underutilized. Things would worsen when Mark Merrow's wife Sable came to work for the WWF. Sable made a bad impression when she first entered the WWF. According to Sytch, she and Marlena, aka Terry Runnels, entered their dressing room and found their clothes and items on the floor, and someone else's belongings on the table. Sable had apparently removed Sunny and Marlena's items without even asking. Things only got worse from there. According to Jim Cornette, both women were but Sable was an undercover acting nice to someone's face, then backstabbing them. One such instance was when Sable told Luna Vachon Sytch was bad-mouthing Luna, and Luna attacked Sytch. Jim Cornette believes Sable got her push because Vince McMahon and Vince Russo were smitten with her. When Chris Candido came to work for Extreme Championship Wrestling, she showed up to support him. Paul Heyman persuaded her to leave the WWF and work for him. Sytch got herself fired from the WWF to get out of her contract. She said ECW initially was a good place to work for as she helped with travel arrangements. She would use her credit card and be reimbursed. But over time, that changed. In a story heard all too many times, Heyman reportedly began coming up short or missing payments. Sytch found herself forced to tap into her own bank account. She accepted an offer to work for WCW, but Heyman refused to give her her release until she agreed to hold the company harmless for money it had run up on her credit card. Sytch was anxious to work for WCW, but found the company being mismanaged. Instead of showcasing her as a valet/manager, the company put her into mixed matches, despite the fact she had no training as a wrestler. She claimed she had heat backstage with Diamond Dallas Page's wife Kimberly, which led to her being fired from WCW. Sytch and Candido's woes continued when the two went to work in Puerto Rico. Like her experience in ECW, Sytch and Candido were initially paid, but over time, payments came up short, late, or missing altogether. Sytch found the tourist area of Puerto Rico was beautiful, but the other portions were very dirty and dangerous. She recalls seeing raw sewage flowing through the streets and a drug-dealing criminal's corpse laying in the street. Working in Puerto Rico was different than what she'd been used to, as she and Candido worked open-air stadiums and had fans throwing urine and battery acid at them. Finally, the duo scrounged enough money to fly back home. Sytch buried herself in the bottle while Candido worked in Japan. By her accounts, she was drinking a gallon of scotch a day. She began to feel sharp abdominal pains, but continued drinking. Finally, she called up 911 and woke up in critical care, discovering she had pancreatitis. Her excessive drinking had nearly killed her, and her last rites had been administered twice. Things appeared to be looking up when Chris Candido found work in TNA Wrestling. However, a freak accident led to Candido breaking his leg and dislocating his shoulder. Days after he flew home, he died from a blood clot, apparently caused by his flight home just days after the surgery. According to Sytch, TNA would not make out Candido's last check in her name, instead sending her a consolation ham. Sytch found herself troubled by weight gain. The damage to her pancreas made it easy to put on the pounds. However, Sytch worked hard and found work as a sales manager for a fitness club. Her hard work paid off as she began to lose weight. It would come at a good time. In 2009, Sytch appeared on the 15th anniversary edition of Raw. She appeared in WrestleMania 25's Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, doing everything possible not to get hurt, given her lack of training and the other women in the ring she felt were not wrestlers. In 2011, Sytch was asked to enter the WWE Hall of Fame. She worked hard to get into shape and appeared on stage to a raucous ovation. However, dark times lay ahead. Sytch became more involved in what she describes as an abusive relationship. She claims in her autobiography that her boyfriend cheated on her repeatedly with his ex-girlfriend, beat her up, and on one occasion, raped her. Sytch admits she relapsed several times, getting into arguments with her boyfriend, who then called the police on her. After multiple arrests, Sytch sought help again at rehab. Her boyfriend claimed he had changed, and she moved back in with him after her discharge from rehab. However, things broke down, and when Sytch tried to break into the apartment, the police were called and she was charged with burglary. With the threat of prison hanging over her head, she was in serious trouble. However, she was able to obtain probation. She went to work, initially doing online chats with fans. This led to Skype chats, which in turn led to more lucrative video chats akin to phone sex. Finally, Sytch was asked if she would be interested in making a celebrity sex tape. She agreed. In 2016, Vivid Entertainment released her film Sunny Side Up in Through the Back Door. However, Sytch is adamant the film was a one-time deal. Before we even filmed that one, they were starting to throw ideas at me for another one. I'm like, no, this is just a one-time thing for me. It's not becoming my regular job. Do you know what I mean? All it was just a job, a payday. It's not something I aspire to do. It's not something I want to do full time. It's probably not something I ever want to do again. But it was a payday. Just like everything else in the wrestling business, it was a payday. That's all it was. Sytch proved to be a karma Houdini, escaping from one prison sentence after another. In 2016, she was facing sentencing on 3 DUIs, each with a possible maximum sentence of 90 days. In the end, the judge sentenced her to time served. She'd spend 97 days in a rehab center, according to TMZ.com. In addition, she got 5 years parole with bi-weekly alcohol testing, 125 hours of community service, and will have to pay roughly $2,100 in fines. However, Sytch's revolving door into court was still open. Not long after, she was charged with violating her parole and imprisoned. In early February 2017, she was paroled again, with the condition she'd enter a rehabilitation facility. According to TMZ.com, Sytch is at a sober house. She discussed how the WWE has always been super supportive with my recovery. With their wellness program, they take care of your rehab expenses if you don't have any insurance, and they're helping out a little bit with the sober house situation. It's kind of a pricey place. It's 10 grand a month. As of this video, Sytch has not had any known run-ins with law enforcement. Tammy Sytch has always been the source of controversy in wrestling, but what of her statement she was the first diva? According to an interview with WWE.com, Sytch explains, "My definition of a diva is that all-around, well-rounded performer. The girls who came before me were so one-dimensional, and then I came along and anything they threw at me, I could do. I could get in the ring and have a match, I managed at ringside, I co-hosted TV shows, I did broadcasting. I was the first one to do it all. Sytch's contributions to wrestling are undeniable, but what does the future hold for her? Tammy Sytch found herself facing the personal demons that challenge everyone in the world of professional wrestling, with the added pressure of working in a male-dominated industry. Her contributions to the industry are undeniable, and hopefully she can join the others in overcoming her personal demons, and not suffer the same end as Miss Elizabeth and Sherry Martel. Well guys, this wraps up another episode of Behind the Titantron. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you can, please drop a like, hit that bell icon for immediate notifications of uploads, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.